Welcome to FS Detail Garage. We're going to replace the gasket on this differential today. I already have cleaned this thing up. This is a used differential. It's a 373. It's an open for my BMW E30 here. We're pulling out the welded 373 that's in the car. I'll eventually end up putting a LSD clutch pack inside this one, so that'll be another thing, but just tired of driving the welded, so we're going to make life a little bit easier. So first and foremost, got it all cleaned up. Don't want any debris going inside the case once we break this free. So cleanliness is next to godliness. First, we need a 10mm Allen. Nothing crazy. You can get it at Harbor Freight. Really simple. We're going to crack the drain plug loose here. This thing had already weeped everywhere, but just make sure that there's nothing really left in here. Yeah, not much in there at all. Next thing too, if you're going to get a used diff, check the amount of, which you can't even really see any on this, so this is a great sign, but there would be little bits of metal debris if this thing was really torn up on the inside, especially if you're getting a limited slip. If you've seen a lot of metal debris in there, that's things to be worried about. So looking good here so far. We're just going to crack the top one too, because I'm curious if there's anything on this one. Oh, really clean, really clean. Good sign. All right, so that's the first step. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull this sensor here. So I'm going to pause the video. This looks like it's probably an 8mm, maybe a 10. Pretty sure it's an 8 though. Then we will go to this portion here, removing these bolts to take the case free. Okay, so now that we have the cover off, in the event that you did have metal debris on your drain plugs, you would want to start checking this stuff out. So easiest way to do it is just turn the tail shaft here, and you'd be able to inspect all these teeth. And there wasn't anything in this diff, so I don't really have any concern to, be real crazy when checking it out. So if that looks fine, next spot to look at is over in here. Again, you can see that those can move around too, so that's kind of how everything, the magic of the diff happens in there, upon one spinning faster and one slower than the other when turning. So that's pretty basic. Okay, so next up, since this had a paper gasket, we're going to take one of these here. Again, keep things clean. Done some type of adhesive removal with this one. Okay. You can see where the gasket is right there, so we're just going to slice into it and get it up off of the surface. Now it'll probably start breaking apart on you at a certain point, but you may get lucky and get most of it to lift up off in the first pass. So I'm going to pause it and I'll finish doing this and then show you how it looks at the end. So you can see here I've gotten it mostly cleaned up. I got a little bit of paper gasket left right there. We're going to clean that up, but just wanted to show you guys what basically you need it to look like before putting a new paper gasket or an RTD sealant like I'm going to do on this one. So I'm going to continue to clean and be right back. Okay, so now that I got all the gasket material off of here, I'm going to take B12 Chem Tool. You can also use brake clean, but you want something that's going to leave no residue. So I'm personally going to do, and this is my choice only, I'm going to clean this with Chem Tool, then I'm going to go back over with 91% rubbing alcohol, and not a 91% mixture, 91% rubbing alcohol out of the bottle. So just spray this and then come back with 91% rubbing alcohol, wipe it clean. Nothing crazy. But you can see it likes to break grease up. So, but key here is also leaving no residue. So I'm just going to pause the video and then I'm going to go get some towels and clean this up here. So I'm just going to get a little bit on the microfiber here so I can get a little bit more in depth of cleaning this off here. Get to a clean side here real quick. Now we're going to get rubbing alcohol, again 91%. Now we're going to be a little bit more careful when we do this. We're going to ensure that the rag doesn't get onto the inside. We don't pull any other oils into there. Okay, now we should be good to go. So now we're going to change gloves too. Okay, so now we have a basic gasket maker. This one's a 90-minute return to service. If you're using a blue RTV, something like that, it's going to take 24, but I don't really have time for that in my own reasoning, so I'm using this stuff. So we're going to make as best as we can one continuous bead all the way around this surface. This one's clean too. I didn't show that. I was cleaning this surface, but I did the same thing here as well. We're going to go around the bolt holes, so at some point you can't really have a continuous bead unless you do like a circle thing there, but probably going to end up with more excess sticking out. So this is a brand new tube. Get this thing started here. Just going to end up with a glob right out the gate. Okay. We're going to do our best to make a continuous bead across this surface.
If you're stuck in a contract, they'll buy you out. No double talk? Really? No double talk? With Spectrum Business, what they say is what they mean. Call 855-866-5599 now to get faster internet and reliable phone with no hidden fees and no contracts. That's 855-866-5599. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
They say there's no I in team, but at Kaiser Permanente, our team is made of many eyes and hearts and minds and the different specialists that treat them. That's what helps set Kaiser Permanente apart. Our doctors, specialists, nurses, and technicians all work with each other on behalf of your health. And shared digital information like electronic medical records allows them to think and work as one. Teamwork. That's what makes us Kaiser Permanente. And that's just another way we help our members thrive. Visit kp.org today to learn more.
With exclusive delivery through DoorDash, my new deli trio of turkey bacon and cheddar panitos, both on toasted ciabatta bread, are the ultimate no-mess subs. Just remember these simple panitos and panitos. Eating during a video game marathon? During an actual marathon. Why am I eating? While juggling chores? While juggling chainsaws. While resting in a comfy chair? While wrestling a grumpy bear. Panito, try my new panitos today. Only at Jacqueline Bottles. From the time only, a participating restaurant. Terms and restrictions apply.
The best pros put a little extra into everything they do. At the Home Depot, so do we. It's called Pro Extra, with member access to exclusive money-saving offers. Up to 20% off paints, stains, and primers every day. And $20 off your first purchase over $200 just for signing up. That's a lot more than a little extra. Pro Extra, only for pros. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Visit the Pro Gasket store for details.
The December dozen is happening on eBay right now. 12 days of steals on your favorite brands. I'm planning to check that tomorrow and the next day so I can snag gifts before they sell out. Because what's happening on their list list, it's happening on eBay.
If you or someone you know is addicted to drugs or alcohol, please store this number or call right now. 1-800-485-2190. That's 1-800-485-2190. By calling the Addiction Rehab Specialist, you're taking the first steps to recovery. Their advisors are ready to match you with a proven 5-star treatment center that will help you end your drug or alcohol addiction once and for all. Let the Addiction Rehab Specialist help you break your addiction to drugs and alcohol before it's too late. This call is completely confidential, and if you have private insurance, there'll be little to no cost to you. Even if you
If some squeezes out when you go to put the cover on, it's fine. You can just wipe that free here in a bit. So this stuff's a little bit different than RTV. You're going to put it in, you're going to put the cover on, and then you're going to hand tighten the bolts. Then within 1 hour, you're going to actually torque everything. So.
We got a sales guy, Andrew, in here, who actually works for Rock and Roll 5 for me. Andrew, I mean, you've been hearing us talk about AIS for years now. And you
Just do your best to put it on straight.
I know. Even though I'm basically forced to listen to you guys every day, I always thought to myself, there's no way I'm overpaying for my audio costs. Oh, here we go. Well, I realized I'm basically an idiot for not calling you sooner, because they were able to save me almost $400 a year, and I have way better coverage.
Okay, so why didn't you listen to us in the first place?
Because I mentioned that I'm making a switch to
Also make sure you have all your washers on your bolts as well.
Money-saving offers. Up to 20% off paints, stains, and primers every day. And $20 off your first purchase of $200 just for signing up. That's a lot more than a little extra. Pro Extra. Only
So this is pretty basic. This is really nothing crazy. It's just taking your time, making sure things are clean, and then just be slow with things if you aren't sure what you're doing, and just refer back. And again, this is the same process if it's in the vehicle. You're just going to be in a more cramped position. So this is all capable with it in the car as well. I'm just snugging these. That's why I'm not going in a star pattern. But when we go to torque these, you'll see that I'm going to end up going in a star pattern to ensure that this comes down flat. So now that we've done all that, everything's finger tight, snug. Let's do a cross real quick. See, it's going down even a little bit further. So. Okay, now I feel good about that. We'll let that sit for 1 hour now, and then we will torque everything to spec, and basically that's it. And then you have to reinstall your sensor there, but that's real simple stuff. So we'll do all that once everything's cured.